Hello, this is Ollie's Movie Madness, and I'm here to do a movie review of Spider Man Brand New Day. Now, this is going to be a spoiler free review. I'm not going to dive into any major plot points or the villain's backstory, but I will be talking about what I liked and what I did not like in this movie. Now, when I saw the trailer, I was not interested in this movie, mainly because of the villain they picked, and them giving Spider-Man another goddamn babysitter, in the words of Steve Harrington from Stranger Things. I thought the MCU babying Spider-Man was really dumb, and I'll say this without spoiling, they don't do it as much, which I'm happy about, and I watched the film, I went to go see it in theaters, and I loved it. Now, I don't think this film is as great as Spider-Man No Way Home, and I think Spider-Man Far From Home is a lot better with its villain. But I will say, though, this is better than Black Widow. I like this better than The Eternals. But I will say, though, I think Shang-Chi I like better. I enjoy Thunderbolts better. But I will say this movie isn't as dumb as Spider-Man 3. So overall, I actually enjoyed the film. And the storyline is really interesting. Without spoiling any of it, it revolved around Spider-Man learning that he is changing. You know, he's starting to have his spidey sense and it's going out of control. And then there's this mutant, which I'll talk about her in a little bit, but she has this thing going on. I'm not going to say what's going on with her, but if you've seen the trailer, you know which character I'm referring to. And it's up to Spider-Man to control his powers and become Spider-Man, become the hero that New York needs, as well as trying to get over the death of his Aunt May and try to take down the villain. And that's basically what the story is for this film. Again, I would love to explain more, but this is a spoiler-free review. Now, the acting in this movie is tremendous. Tom Holland actually gives his best performance as Spider-Man. There are so many memorable and so many sad moments that Tom Holland does a great job of acting as Spider-Man. One scene in particular in the last half of the movie is really sad to watch. It's really good, even though the character, the main villain, which I did like, but having said that, I think she was a little out of place. That's all I'm going to say about the villain. But I love the action sequences. Tom Holland is incredible. And the scene, which I'm not going to explain, but the scene with Yelena was pretty good. Florence Pugh, she's in it. She's in it, not a lot, but she was still terrific as the character. Again, all I'm going to say is that it involved a swimming pool. And don't worry, it's not as gross as the scene in Spider-Man Far From Home, because that scene was even dumber than the scene involving Yelena. So that's all I'm going to say about Spider-Man, but him going up against the villain was incredible, and he, something really dark happens to him, and I thought that was, really intense. Tom Holland does a terrific job with his performance. Zendaya is always great as MJ. She's still fun and entertaining. And the character of MJ, she goes through stuff too, which I'm not going to spoil. But I will say, though, the romance between her and Spider-Man is still incredible, like in the last 3 movies. And I'm going to say the Punisher in this, I'm a bit mixed on him. But for what he had, I thought John Berthold was incredible. They do give him some funny moments. But the timeline of his character, without spoiling, is a little inconsistent. But he was handled decently. Although there was one stupid MCU joke that I did not like. All I'm going to say is it involved a hospital, and that's about it. That's all I'm going to say. It was not funny. It was just weird. And for some reason, without spoiling that hospital scene, he sounds like Nick Cage. He sounds like Nicolas Cage, which was so weird. Ned Leeds, I thought he was okay in this, like he was in the other movies. Now, let's talk about the villain in this movie, Sadie Sink. That was the thing I was not looking forward to. Now, without spoiling, I think she was good and bad in this movie. Acting-wise, I think Sadie Sink did a phenomenal job. She was incredible. The motivation that her character goes through, it's good, but she's a little crazy. That's all I'm going to say about the villain. But I will say, though, I don't think the villain in this movie was nearly as fun as, like, Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin or Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio or even Michael Keaton's Vulture or even Max Dillon's Electro. But I will say, though, she's way better than the Rhino in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Venom from Spider-Man 3. I will say that the villain in this was better. The big climactic battle was really good. I did like the climactic battle, but I think the final battle against Green Goblin in No Way Home was better than the final battle against Sadie Sink's character in this. It was still a fun final battle, and Mark Ruffalo, that was something else I was a little worried about. Like, are they going to make him into a loser? No, because without spoiling, the villain does something. We actually get Ragey Hulk back. Again, I'm not going to explain what happens, but I think it was time to bring back the original Hulk. That's all I'm going to say. Scorpion, he's in the trailer. He doesn't do anything. I thought that was disappointing. I did love the climactic battle. The villain's origin story, it felt like a ripoff to Wen Wu's origin from Shang-Chi. That's the other problem I have with the villain. But I will say, though, she's better than Ultron. I'll say the villain in this movie, way better than Ultron. Way more intimidating. And I did feel bad for her. I did. I really felt sorry for her. But without spoiling, again, the villain is out of place. I was actually hoping they would go with Mr. Negative, played by Steven Yeun. That was the thing I was actually looking forward to. But they didn't put Mr. Negative as the villain, which that was a little disappointing. Now we'll talk about the directing by Dustin Daniel Cretton. Now, this is the guy who directed Shang-Chi, which I thought he did a glorious job directing that film. So, how does he do directing a Spider-Man movie? Well, I gotta be honest. He did a great job, but it wasn't perfect. See, my main problem was his directing. Now, if you're talking about, like, emotional things, the emotional moments with Spider-Man and the villain, incredible. I think Cretton does a great job with that. I think the action sequences are incredible, especially that final battle. The stuff with the Hulk was really good. He does make Punisher, without spoiling, a little too stupid, but I thought that was a little weird. But I did like how he didn't make this movie overly silly. He didn't turn this into an MCU comedy film. It felt like he really told the studio to use practical effects because all the effects look really amazing. So I think Dustin Daniel Cretton did a great job directing. I thought he was really great. But I will say, though, him putting a certain mutant in the movie as the villain was a little weird. And I think he should have made Scorpion the main villain. So, overall, I think Dustin Daniel Cretton did a great job, but I think his directing in Shang-Chi was better. So, in conclusion, I enjoyed this film. Again, not as good as the first three Spider-Man movies, not as good as No Way Home or Far From Home, but I will say this is a decent and fun post-Endgame movie. I love all the acting. Again, Florence Pugh, for what she has, is really good. Tom Holland is incredible. The villain is decent, but I think they should have went with a different villain. I'll talk about that when I do a spoiler review of this movie. So overall, as for the time being, as for me just watching this movie for the very first time, I'm going to give Spider-Man Brand New Day a 8 out of 10. I think it's a really great post-Endgame movie. I really do. But I don't think it is as perfect as the other Spider-Man movies in the MCU. So, yeah, that's why I give Spider-Man Brand New Day a 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. And I think this is one of the best movies of the entire year. So comment down below and let me know what your thoughts on Spider-Man Brand New Day. Do you like it, or do you thought it was disappointing, or you think it's fun but flawed? And I would really like to know. So that's going to be it for my spoiler-free movie review of Spider-Man Brand New Day. I hope you guys enjoyed.